What I'm concerned about is the mental health of people who have put their life savings into Luna and these other projects that, look, if you're sitting on $1 million and it's in savings and you put $100,000 investment in and you lose that $100,000, you still have $900,000. But what we're finding is that it's not those people. It's not those people. That's not how they're investing. They're sometimes taking their rent money, hoping that they're going within a month flip that out and make $2,000 in their $1,000 investment. But if everything goes away and you've lost that $1,000, now you can't pay your rent. Now you can't pay your mortgage. Now you can't pay the grocery bills. This kind of feeds into like a whole other mental health conversation. And, you know, we really, so look, I'm an entrepreneur. I've had some successes. I've had a lot of failures. All of those are learning and teaching experiences that you kind of work through. You're an athlete. I can, I only attend the games, but I can only kind of impose what I think goes on, which is incredible highs and lows for you. And particularly, your career, you've had major injuries that have had incredible setbacks that you've had to come back from. Your highs and lows must be, I don't know, you have to kind of like fill me in on that because I think a lot of people look at athletes and we see this with Simone Biles, right? Who had to leave the Olympic, theater in competition because of her mental health. And I don't think people pay enough attention to athletes' mental health.
I don't think so. Again, like I'm not comparing what happened with Luna and what happening in the sport industry for athletes regarding mental health, but mental health is a big issue. It's an unspoken issue. A lot of people see athletes as they see them on television, with some of the top athletes getting all the praise, getting all the money, getting all those like shiny things, but underneath that, it's just like the tip of the iceberg. Underneath that is so much work, so much dedication, and then a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure that's being given by the player to himself, the pressure from the outside as well. And social media hasn't helped with that because we've seen a lot of hate going on, like athletes being like rashly abused or abused mentally because of course like I had that in New York Red Bulls, for example. When you played well, they don't say anything, and then but when you play really bad, you get those messages like you don't want to see that because like it just challenges you mentally and it's really difficult to get over with. Regarding like injuries as well, like being sidelined for a few months, almost a year, it's difficult to deal with, and we don't want to appear weak. I think that's the reason why we don't talk about it, but I've overcome it using a sports psychologist, and it's been super helpful. And I'm an advocate for it. I would love for help younger athletes to do it because it's important. It helped me a lot. That's the reason why I write as well, just to put everything into words, so I have like some kind of support and let all the emotions out. But yeah, it's hard to talk about mental health. Uh, but once you do the first step, like you feel so much better, as I did with the sports psychologist I've been working with. But yeah, again, like those people that it's so different because they invest their savings, they invest their life's money into a project that just turns out to be zero. And what do I do next, and this is in those moments where you need support. You need to feel comfortable talking about it with your family, your friends, even those that might not like understand what you've been through. It's important like to have that kind of support. If they are your friends, they'll be there to help you.
Yeah. Yeah, we should say that, there have been 8 unverified suicides due to the Luna project, the Luna crash. This was something that was mentioned on one of the Twitter business NFT crypto channels that I watch. Again, unverified, but still, when people kind of go all in, what's interesting is like, when we say like you're going all in, like what does that mean for you? Because it, you know, it shouldn't it shouldn't you shouldn't be risking your financial stability when you start to invest at a level where the risk is greater than the reward. And understandable, like Luna jumped up to 100 and some odd dollars, and so everyone was very excited. Now look, the PulseX chain, when that goes live, I have a number in my head that I want to extract out, right? There is a I want to, it's not just make back the $300 that I put in. That would be nice, but I would like to take care of certain business things that I would like to, utilize with that money. But that is, I'm only willing to do that at a fraction of the amount of tokens that I have. And the rest are just going to be left in there for a very long time. I think a lot of people go in thinking, this is it, this is the one, this is the next Bored Ape Yacht Club, this is the next Tesla, this is the next Microsoft or something like that. And they put in so much money, not realizing that, hey, if it is that successful, if you did put $1,000 into Amazon the day that it launched as an IPO, today you'd have multi-million dollars. You have to be able to wait and hold that out, and then also go into the right projects. Obviously, if you had invested $1,000 into Netscape, well, that money's gone now. But at some point it did go up. You have to be happy in taking that out. But getting back into the whole mental health conversation, I've experienced a tremendous amount of death. I wrote this in the notes, and I just don't know at 50, almost 52 now. There was a decade where my grandparents died, my aunt died, some of my cousins died. Being in the LGBT community, there have been a lot of people that I know that have passed away. I've had college friends that have passed away. I've had personal friends now due to COVID that have died. It's a lot of death, and it weighs on me considerably. And you can, I had this kind of weird experience about a couple of years ago. I'm not going to say how many years ago, where things had just completely fallen apart. I had a back injury. My long-term relationship was ending. My financial stability was questionable. All of those happened at one point. And being out of it now, I can kind of speak about what that felt like. And I can only say that it's depression. It was depression now that I've been out of it. It's very hard to know when you're actually in like a depressed state. But I kind of described it in the notes to you that, I could be standing on a sunny beach and it could be a beautiful day and watching the sunset, but all I would visually see would be darkness. You're just surrounded by darkness. Now, in the case of these Luna suicides, I think that those tend to be more reactionary, and they're not just like long-term darkness, depression kind of thing. But I don't normally, I'm not introspective outwardly. I see myself for who I am, and I can see it internally, but I don't talk about it a lot. This is actually the first time that I'm talking about it, but it's this amazing kind of bizarre thing that goes on, even with your eyesight, with your mental state. you just feel like you're in complete darkness. And it's very hard for other people. It's like the same with, you have knee pain, you have a knee injury, I have a back injury. It's very hard to explain to people what that feels like. If it's like giving birth. Like if you haven't given birth, you can't explain to somebody who can't give birth what that feels like to push a baby out of your body. And it's the same thing with depression. It's very hard to explain to somebody that you're in a depressed state because they will just simply say, "Oh, do something fun. Have something, have a nice day. Go and have an ice cream. Go take a walk." And it's not that. There is a physical element to depression that really manifests, at least for me, it manifested in seeing everything in a gradated, dark fog. It was quite incredible.
Yeah, it's something that you can explain because it varies from people to people. But having been through that as well, like you don't want to do anything, no matter how good it sounds, how good like people want you to do something, you don't want to do it. You just want to be by yourself, usually in a dark room, and then just like, but then again, it's a negative spiral. Like you start doing this, and then it's really hard to get out of it. I had to get into like a big fight with my mom, so like it's things snapped and be like, okay, well, I have to do something about it. But yeah, it's difficult to get out of it, but like it's not that hard if you have the right support, and you can take that into your own hands. And there's like a lot of people that talk about it, a lot of people that open about it. There's probably a website or a line that you can call. That there's more and more help nowadays just to like get over depression or mental health issues.
Yeah, there is in the United States, we have a number. It's 1-800-273-8255. That's available 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or you can visit the suicidepreventionlifeline.org to get help. And it's very important. The it's that border between, it's understanding that you need the help before you really harm yourself. And you know I I've been I've been friends with people that have committed suicide. I've had situations like that. And it's, I don't know, it's very hard for me to say this next part because I understand how controversial it is. But, you know, suicide is the worst thing that you could do for the people around you. It is the most selfish thing that you can do because it removes you from the equation, and it forever impacts the people around you. They are never the same because of what your decision was to end your life. And look, I mean, I wake up, at,
Like,
at, at 52 now, I have to say, I wake up every morning blessed to having opened my eyes and breathing air and being able to walk and enjoy this amazing planet that we have.
no, I agree. And the thing is, like, taking your own life is just easy to just like kill your own pain, but then you're causing more pain to the people that stays, because I am sure they are wondering like, what happened? What did they do wrong? What can they have done to help you? And I think that's the worst part. So it's just like thinking about the people that surround yourself might help you just get out of it. It's not easy, I know, but it's just causing pain to the people that you love isn't the thing you want.